Welcome. This is not financial advice. This is caring and sharing our experiences in the art and the blockchain community with NFTs. Today, I have a profound guest with me, Luther Brown, aka Luther Arts. I'm going to tell you all about him. First, make sure you're subscribing. To all my listeners, thank you so much. We're in the top 1.5% out of almost 4 million podcasts because of you. I grew this IP from the ground up. And because of you, we're growing strong. I'm so excited. Make sure you click the link in the show notes and make sure you are subscribing to the email list and write a comment and let me know what value you got out of today's episode, because every single episode now we're giving giveaways. So you could win a giveaway. It could be a piece of art, an NFT, someone in the community. It could be anything, a 30-minute Zoom with me. So make sure you're subscribing and definitely share this episode with at least one person. Thank you. Okay, so today, Luther Brown. Luther is a full-time artist and has been doing art his entire life. He has been blessed with an intense passion for all things art, like me, all kinds, all genres, and all mediums. His passion keeps him constantly creating and full of crazy characters and ideas. He is currently the lead artist and head of the artistic engineering for the Metanoise Art Department. I love Metanoise. Shout out Future Shape 360 right here. Yay! Luther is the creator of the upcoming project BooWho Babies. Yay! And also the co-creator of the DumDumz with the Z NFT project, along with being a featured artist on many NFT projects and cultural events, such as Nomad Blvd, ZeroSense, Quantum Gallery, Freshmint Fest, Coloween, Future Shape 360, and more. Luther has been commissioned to do many illustrations, concept designs, and graphic art for branding, clothing, and print media. Wow, so amazing. Oh, and by the way, if you're only on the audio, click the link below because we're on video right now. And Luther is inside his studio, so you can see where the crux of his heart and soul is when he's making all these art pieces that I just mentioned. Thank you, Luther, for joining me. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm excited to be
Yeah.
here. Really excited. Thank you so much for joining me.
Uh, Thanks for having me. I
One
appreciate it.
1000%. We met, Luther and I met at Future Shape 360 actually last July in 2022. And I mean, we've just become close ever since. So it's like fam for life, you know? So gratefully, we've had many brushstrokes of inspiration and moments together IRL. But lastly, was just at Art Basel during NFT Art Basel, and actually we did a collab together. Well, he did this amazing piece for me right here, the black and white one, and then we did this collab together right here, so I wanted to feature it in today's episode. And every time I've seen you, you're always carrying around a pad and you're always carrying around markers.
Yes, yes, yeah. I've ruined many of backpacks. So yeah, you can imagine. And the pieces that you're showcasing up there, those are kind of the quick what I can whip out and try to give to art fans, collectors, anyone that likes art at all these different events. Something that I can whip up really quick and give somebody a piece of art.
Definitely, definitely. That is so cool. And now you have we'll get into it, but merch, but I mean you have the baseball caps and you're drawing on caps. But let's kind of rewind here real quick. So, I'm an art head like you. Everything art is like so with that being said, when did you know and discover I'm different or I'm an artist? Like, what was your process? Like, when did that happen for you? And then what are some actionable steps that you discovered and took along the way to explore being an artist?
It's one of those things that I don't want to say you're born with it. I think everyone can draw and everybody has artistic ability. It's just how much you kind of refine that and practice because art is definitely one of those. kind of skills that you can refine and practice and always, continue to learn, which I still continue to do to this day, be it new software, be it just trying to paint something different or using a different medium. But it kind of, ever since, I can't even remember or put a date on it. It's just ever since I was a little child that I just always drew, was always doodling, always drawing on everything. So you can kind of see the kind of street style that kind of evolved from it. So I think, I was just one of those kids that really excelled in art, and I just fell in love with it, like just had a passion with it, and did it all through my entire, childhood up until adult. And I kind of, I think when you get to that age when you're in your 20s and everything, and you're going to school and you're chasing other aspirations, I kind of let it fall off of the map. And I literally didn't pick up and do any art for, it must have been probably close to 10 years, thereabouts, something like that. Like I didn't even like draw or do anything. And then I just started doing it again. And I just like, I don't know. I want to know if you say you fall back in love with it, but I
I
kind of want to
love
say
that.
that's kind of what happened with me. And from there, I just kind of went gangbusters. And I think it was about, I want to say somewhere around the time of maybe the really late 90s and the early 2000s. And I started really focusing on digital art at that time, and started, maybe a little bit, maybe in the late 90s, really kind of doing, diving into early versions of Photoshop and just self teaching myself just kind of as a hobby. And I'm glad that I did that, because I think when you really self teach yourself, especially something like a software program, like any of the Adobe products, uh, Photoshop, Illustrator, or something like that, it really sticks in your head. So, I mean, I even have accomplished artists that still reach out to me today, people that have been doing this for years, that ask me, hey, how do you do this? And just because I've taught myself, all the technical skills associated with that. So, I really, at that point in time, I started doing a lot of online art, and that's where I ran into, and I'll mention him even later, is Ali Sabet. And he had a
Mm.
website early on that was a character creation website called Majizu. And I kind of ran into a lot of fellow artists in there, and several of them I still stay in touch with and friends with and things like that. But that was really kind of in the Web 2 world. It really predated itself. It was a very cool site. It was like kind of a social site where you could post your artwork and people voted on it, and they had a winner every week and things like that. And it just kind of just it got me hooked at that time, and it reinvigorated my kind of a desire to do art all the time. And I really, from that point, I hadn't stopped. So the last 20 years, I really, kind of honed my craft, really focused on digital art and traditional art, painting, doing all different types of illustration. And it's kind of one of those things that I just did as a hobby. But I started finding that as I posted more work on social media, things like that, I started getting more commissions. I got invited to, gallery. I got invited to, just different things. And it really wasn't until towards, I think, September of 2021, I came down with COVID, and I was really sick. And well, let me back up from that. So earlier
Wait,
that
wait,
summer,
before
yeah,
you continue, I just want to like pick up some gems that I'm hearing along the way.
uh,
Uh One, I first want to acknowledge you being an artist, knowing something, knowing it, dismantling it, going on a journey, and then and 10 years or whatever, and then rediscovering it again, because I feel that gives a lot of hope to the listener listening, or to the person tuning into the YouTube. I think it gives them a lot of hope, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm too old, or that's for kids, or I missed the boat. And that's just so generic to hear those things. They're just so typical. But like anyone, it doesn't matter what age you are, no matter what you're doing for your profession, if you love it or loathe it, like it doesn't matter. Like to create space, to create just any amount of space or any amount of time per day to doodle or just to do something colorful and artistic or something that's artistic in your realm, to start giving it your time, your energy, and your focus. And then we can see through the journey of what you just explained how that really builds and like gives you like a new purpose, and just like you said, came off like went out trailblazing and didn't leave. Sometimes you need that ammunition off of it. Sometimes you need to have something and then lose it. Like if you love someone, let it go, or if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it's meant to be or whatever. But and sometimes we don't have the choice, but it happens. But then when it comes back around, when and if it does, to be able to acknowledge that, and then maybe your full gusto is because of not having it for 10 years. Who knows? But I just really wanted to touch on that because I thought it was like really beautiful and really important. I know I identify in not the exact same way, but in ways. So I can't imagine what that is for the person listening. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think at that time, and I can put a visual representation because I remember, that stage of my life and, where I lived and what my house looked like and, all these different elements. And I remember just, in the back of my mind always saying, I feel like something's missing, you know, like there's a hole or something, you know. So that was
Yeah.
that was really kind of what really I think sparked it. And so I really took that as kind of, I mean, that's what I did on all my spare time, was focusing on art and developing my art and creating new things. And it wasn't one of these things like I was trying to, because this really predates, Web3. It really predates a lot of, I was making it for myself.
Yeah.
I was just creating. And so, it felt good to get that creative energy out.
Yeah, our job as artists is to create. It's not about the outcome. It's our duty to create. We are the storytellers. The artists, the poets are the storytellers when everything's happening in the world. We get to have someone look at a piece of art and see a moment in time, It's yeah, I mean, it's I love it. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, 1000. Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
So
go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just going to backtrack on what I was mentioning up earlier about that journey into at 2021.
Yes.
It was during the pandemic. I was stuck at home a lot, and I was kind of in my studio working in my home office doing my corporate job. And, it's not like I had any free time. It was actually more difficult. And anybody that knows this that has an at home job, you end up working a hell of a lot more hours than you do being in the office most times. It's especially in the job that I had. And um, at that time, you mentioned earlier, I have a daughter, she's 11. And Ali Sabit had these online classes that he was giving for kids. And my daughter, I signed her up and got her in that, and she just absolutely loved it. And, he's creating all these little characters and everything else. So she just loved it. And it ended up being one of those things to where I said I'd gotten COVID and I got real sick and I called Ali and he was also just getting over it at like the same time. And so I was stuck in bed and didn't have much to do and I was just drawing and drawing and drawing and he tuned me into NFTs. And then at that point, and as you well know, the rest is kind of history in that regard. That I was hooked. I just it was this new avenue to get your images out, to gain a new audience, to get more exposure for your artwork.
To connect in a whole new way.
Yeah, a whole new community, a whole new group of artists, and I've through that little journey in the last it's year and a half, it's just been mind blowing in that regard. That how many artists that I'm close friends with, that I talk to daily, many times a day, that we communicate, that we share art, we collaborate on so many projects and do different things. It's just like, it's a completely different world. And, from that, I continued to do it. But I still did the day job, you know, and the day job is really demanding. I live up in the Northern California area, so I have just a hellacious commute, bumper to bumper traffic, and as, the COVID started to let up, traffic, of course, got worse as people started, flooding back in the office. So my commute even got worse. So it just got too much for me. I found myself just miserable every day at work, and all I wanted to do was just. Uh, I always term it in a jokingly term, but all I want to do is play with my crayons. All I want to do is draw. I want to paint. I want to illustrate. I want to create. And so at the beginning of this year, even in kind of a bear market and, the way that things kind of took a downturn in that regard, I decided to jump in head first, just right in the middle of all of that. And I said, this is the time. I've always known in these times, it's a time to build, it's a time to create. And I haven't regretted one moment of it. And I did it with the sole idea that I didn't have a plan B. So,
Yeah.
and the reason that I kind of put that in my frontal lobe, that I don't have a plan B, is that I'm not going to focus any energy on anything else. I'm not going to have in the back of my subconscious to remind me is that, oh, hey, Luther, you can always jump off and do this, or you got this that's going to be your safety net, or things like that. Because I wanted all my energy to be focused on, really developing my art career and doing it full time, and to be able to, turn this into, my lifestyle, everything that, I do for a living.
Yeah,
So,
what I'm hearing clearly is you made a choice, and the choice was you. You made the choice to put your wants, needs, and desires. You took a risk. You maybe it wasn't even a risk, but you chose you. And a lot of people, they they don't choose themselves. They a lot of artists will help out other people. A lot of people help other people, but sometimes we don't put ourselves first and our needs and wants, especially with like having a family and being married, um and you have all those things to think about. So yeah, brava on the choice. It's so empowering. It's super super empowering. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
and I've learned a long time ago. I think one of the worst emotions is regret.
Oh,
And
yes, I agree. Oh my gosh, yeah. So there's this thing when I was in acting class with William Alderson. He studied under Meisner, the Meisner technique, and he said there was this thing. He said in my very first acting class when I moved to Hollywood was ask yourself if you're going to regret it. If it's going to be you're going to regret it, then do it. Do it. I have been around people, I'm sure you've been around people who you hear about them. I know growing up, I heard things and there was just so much regret. Maybe that's why I'm so ballsy and so out there in the way that I am, like a risk taker or bold in such a way, because I was around someone who had this musical career and then didn't like really go for it and then blamed and shamed everyone but themselves. And forget blaming yourself, but just projecting that regret. I know that just hit hard for me. Yeah, I feel you. Do you have a story about that?
well, I just knew that, all the leaps that I didn't take, that it's not that I had this regret that haunted me. I just knew that if I didn't do this and jump into it head first and just completely dive into it 100%, that, I'm absolutely not just optimism. I know, whatever bear market it's going to be, it's going to, of course, that's going to go the other way. And, I would completely be filled with regret if I didn't make this leap and jump into it and, do all this building. And, not just building, like, but building my, art career, building the community that, we've been working on, building, everything, that I would be just filled with regret. And I would be like, just to do a comparison, the Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, where he's throwing the football all the time because he's just constantly talking about what would have been. I would have been that way. I really would have felt that ping of regret that just haunted me. So I just had to do it. It was the first time in my adult life that I took a risk. And yeah, you're right. I have responsibility. I have family, mortgage. I have everything else that, all the other people have. So, but I really thought it was worth it.
And what the other things I'm picking up is you did something for the love of your daughter by hooking her up in the course with Ollie Saubet, our mutual friend. And because of that, it got you closer to your own heart and soul and your own art. And then the other thing I'm hearing, which is important, is you had a mentor. You had someone you could talk to about it, someone that you trusted. So, for the person tuning in, it's really important to communicate, to do your own research, to find someone, even they may not be your best friend, or maybe you don't even know them, but they have a podcast or someone you would respect and admire that you can get brushstrokes of inspiration from and listen to people and hear their stories and maybe ask questions. Like with the age of technology, we're able to ask certain questions. And the biggest beast is when we keep it inside and the energy doesn't move and shift around. And then a year could go by or 3 months could go by and then 10 years go by. But if we're able to just communicate, even if it's on like a text or an email or through a writing column or something, just to communicate and get it out and not let it have power over you, the fear and the insecurity, it will shape shift, because we are the ripple effect and it starts with us. And when we get it out of ourselves, that fear, and we're able to communicate, things work, the universe in miraculous ways, things will start to flow better. So I think it's so beautiful with like the story of your daughter, and then hooking her up with the arts program, and then Sabit mentioned to you like the NFTs, and then you got into the game. I mean, that's so important, because like, as human beings and as artists, like we feel isolated, we may feel alone, but we can still isolate and be alone and have things be our certain ways, the way we want to do them. But it's really important to like share and communicate with one another, because then we can learn and grow.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think artists we're extremely emotional beings. We're our own worst critics in a lot of ways. We scrutinize our own, creations, and we can be hard on ourselves. So we can clam up and we don't communicate. I've helped onboard several people into this community and bring them in and show them what it's about. Some have kind of dipped out when things kind of, turned, but it's really, really important to kind of, the first step is to put yourself out there. So
Yes, put ourselves out there. I mean, I'm just not even kidding. I just wrote a tweet today. Like, I totally forgot about like NFT sales and like selling the art. I'm so about like creating the art all the time, making the art, that I totally forgot. Like I have to like put it out there as well. So I'm like, I'm gonna be
yeah,
relentless moving forward, because there are people sometimes when I'm on the Twitter, I just reinstall it because of your spaces, your Twitter spaces you've been doing every single day for the BooWho Babies. Woohoo! Go BooWho Babies. And because I was off social media, I deleted like all the apps in November, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Twitter. I took all the apps off my phone, so if I had to do anything from Twitter, it would just be from my laptop. I just have quantum detoxification, just like really get grounded, settle, and just like reacclimate. And everyone has their things that they do. But I'm like looking at this, scrolling through the Twitter, and people are like, "Oh, drop your NFTs, I'm buying," or "NFT collector," and then I see people posting their stuff, and it's like, I don't post any of my stuff. Like I never post any of my stuff. Like I'm like never, like very, like once a month. Like, so I'm like, these people are doing it multiple times a day. I'm gonna be relentless moving forward. I'm putting myself out there. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm just gonna do it. And so if someone's like buying NFTs under blah blah blah, or a collector or something, it's like, if we don't put ourselves out there, then like you just don't know. So it's like we just get buried and we forget. Like I forget. Like you would think, like, like, oh, like you see someone and you think like they have it all together, or they have like their whole team or something, but like we're human beings, and it's like it happens. So it's a great reminder for anyone listening. Entrepreneurs on the show, a lot of different people in entertainment, like no matter your medium, like the principle of it all is to be able to put yourself out there. And if you don't do it, like no one else is going to do it. And unless you have like magical marketing people and assistants doing it for you, which is cool, and they can, and I've had that done. But I'm telling you right now, because I did it all last year, not in the way that I'm saying that I'm going to do it now, but in different ways. But it's not the same, you know what I mean? So there can be things that are like obviously put, but also it has to come from the authentic voice and being of like who we are. It's all like all the marketing people, and I hate that because it's like, I don't want to think about being in the matrix or marketing. I was just on some spaces yesterday with like amazing people in marketing, like Dan from VaynerMedia, and some other people, and they're talking about the vulnerability of the story, and it's like with the podcast and you being on and sharing things that you share, like that's vulnerable, that's like being so real, and people can identify with that. So doing these kind of things and doing those kind of things are like super important for like people to actually authentically connect.
Yeah. I'm sure there's someone out there that's either in the same place in their life or going through the same thing, or just like, should I do it or should I not do it? And and I mean, all I can say is put yourself out there. That's otherwise no one's ever going to see your art. And I see so many amazing, inspiring artists, and they're putting out art that just every single time, if I'm just amazed by what people can create and produce. So yeah, first step is to just make up your mind and do it. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. And the
drop off.
last thing I want to say about that, go ahead, did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, just drop all the fear. It's not saying don't be reckless, but um, you know,
Relentless.
yeah, that's a better term. Be relentless. Don't be reckless, and just
Yay.
get yourself out there.
Yeah. And the last thing I was going to say on this was like, I was wanting like last year my assistants to do, I was projecting on for them to do it. But then I took responsibility. I'm like, I'm just putting it off. If I'm not going to do it, no one's going to do it as well as I'm going to do it. No one's going to do it as well as Luther's going to do it. Like you can have other people help and stuff, but I was like wanting to put like everything onto them. But no, you have to like want it. You have to like go for it. Like no one's going to make it happen but you, period. Like, period.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So shifting in, like, okay, we're gonna go two ways. Do you want to talk about BooWho Babies first, or do you want to talk about Metanoise Art Department and your role there and the vibes? Which one do you want to start with?
Um, well, we can kind of talk about the art department because I think that kind of is a segue into the Boohoo Babies and
Yeah,
kind of the launch and everything else.
yeah.
So you are kind of intimately aware of all the players in this, so Greg and Noam started this group. They are the founders of the Metanoise group. And of course, as you know, they held this large event, Future Shape, during the summer, which was just, I think of all the different IRL events I've been to, be it whatever it is, that has to be without question the funnest. I mean, it
The
was just fun.
finest. The
Yes,
finest, also.
yes. It was curated start to finish. They took care of everything. It was, from a private party at Meow Wolf with Dead Mouse, and then, just all that. We had 3,000 people the next night with Don Diablo and Gigamesh and all that. And I got
And
the
you were
chance to
live
be,
painting.
yes, live
And I
painting
have
it.
videos and photos. You were live painting with Manny Links.
Yes, and we were. A funny thing about that night was that we were so close to the stage, and it was so dark. We had to paint via phone light, and the bass was so strong that I probably still have hearing loss, but the bass was so strong it was actually vibrating the canvas off of our easels. So it was just like such a chaotic night, but at the end it was still a blast. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I made this neat piece of art that went over to the Blackbird Jeans group. So that was really cool. And, that whole event, with it being so small and curated start to finish, from lodging, from food, from everything, it was just a blast. So I can't wait for the next one. Anybody out
Yeah.
there listening, they want to try to get into the Metanoise group, go to metanoise.io, not to shill too much, but that is
Shill.
definitely,
No, shill
yeah,
away. We're
yeah,
here to
yeah,
educate and let people know, like, the vibes. And
yeah,
we'll put it in the
yeah,
show notes. We'll put the links in the show notes for sure.
yeah. With it,
Love Metanoise, the art department. And so did so when did you connect with Metanoise? So then it was that's when we met, but so obviously like you met them before because you were there. So
yeah, yeah. So I actually met Greg the first time during the Nomad project.
mm,
So Greg was an integral part of the Nomad project in launching that, and he was part of the team getting that product out, and that was a really successful NFT project that pulled in a lot of outside artists to collaborate with Isabel Lagos, kind of that. Character that she has that's all over Venice, the ape, and you might see paintings if you're in that area and you wonder who does it. That's her. So a real kind of identifiable character.
yeah.
And so they rolled out that project. It was real successful. Had a really great community, and that's really where I met Greg and Noam and the rest of the team. And we went to they had and that was in East Denver originally. So 2021 East Denver. Um, and no, 2022. I'm sorry. It was the beginning of last year is when I met Greg.
I know. It's
And
like it's like
yeah,
a whole year skipped. I get it. It's like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it happens. I get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's all blur. But
Yeah.
anyway, from there, he saw my art, and it all started with me handing him a sticker type scenario, and he saw one of my characters, and then from there he talks about the story quite frequently, and he's just like, where do I get these, who's it, that whole thing. And it kind of rolled from there, and we stayed in contact, and all the IRL events, and now it's at the point we talk 100 times a day, and that type thing. And so earlier this last year, we came up with the idea of really developing the art department and rolling some of our projects that we have through the art department. And one thing that we've been very passionate about and really wanting is to create a streetwear brand, because I love merch, I love streetwear, and in fact, you see, I'm wearing my stuff right now. So um, we just wanted to get something that, and every time you go to a lot of these IRL events, some of the merch is it's less than good, So we wanted to really create something that people wanted to wear, and something that people, if you were an NFT collector, that you could put your NFT, because with like a lot of PFP projects, you see it all through Twitter and other social media accounts. These people use those images as their identity. It's a lot of times ends up being, that's the community I belong to. This is the community that I've invested my time, and these are my friends. This is the image, and in a lot of ways, that really forms that individual's identity. And so we wanted to be able to say, okay, hey, if you are in our community, you like our project, you bought into our art, you've collected our work. We want to be able to say, if you want to put this on a custom created by you garment, then we want to be able to provide the means of that in a high quality printing. So we've really worked hard this last year on finding the right manufacturer and the right people to partner with to be able to do high quality garments with really high quality printing, and to do custom printing and do this mint to ship. So I know not everybody's going to want to have their PFP. Maybe they just want to have an art department hoodie or art department hat or anything like that. So we want to so our real focus within the art department is to develop that life brand experience with the collectors, and give them that opportunity to really be able to create custom clothing, to have this custom one of a kind clothing. So we've been busy building that infrastructure, and we're really, I mean, at a screaming pace to make our launch date, or not launch date, our actual reveal date. So we want to have that all ready to go by the time that our first inaugural Genesis project launches. We want to have that ready and available. So
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I love the team. Shout out to Noam and Greg. That's amazing. It's so exciting.
yeah,
Yeah, and you're spearheading the department, which is awesome. You're like a dad, a leader, This is great. This is so, so good. I love it. And then you also mentioned skateboards. So are you doing skateboards for that, a part of that line as well? Some of
Um,
them?
yeah, well, with the manufacturer we've talked to, it's kind of sky's the limit. It's just based on,
Cool.
the products that they have in their
Yeah.
lineup, and the suppliers that they've partnered with. But I'm just painting some. We want to have some available to do giveaways during this IRL event. So I've actually taken some of my street characters and have painted on some of them. My whole thing is finding the time right now. As you know, coming up to a launch of a project is pretty time demanding. So yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of promo, a lot of spaces, and working a lot with the team. Because it's not just me. When people come outside and look at this from the outside in and really don't understand what really involves an NFT project. It's, you got to have a development team, you have
Yep.
marketing, you have, I mean, go across the board about how many people really get involved. So with that being said, people can take some confidence that, there's a lot of livelihood resting on, the success of the project. So a lot of people are going to put a lot of good energy into it. They're going to work hard. And so, that's a really big element of it. It's not just from the out, again, people that are unfamiliar with it, that it's just like, oh, it's just a JPEG, or NFTs are a scam, or I've heard it all. But once you can actually get somebody and explain to them the utility and all the possibilities and everything that can come out of this, I think the light bulb goes off, and they really start to say, wow,
Well,
that's
that's
cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we have the podcast. So we're not getting into like so many details. Maybe we can talk about brushstrokes when we talk about BooHoo Babies.
Yeah.
But people can go to the link below and sign up for my newsletter. And I have a cheat sheet. It gives you Web3 lingo, like basic Web3 lingo language. Also, I have an automation that's set up that will send you NFT alpha and education on these things. So YouTubers, podcasts, communities, things of that nature. I put Future Shape 360 on there. So people can get the resources and do their own research. I don't know. I mean, ask the team. We'll ask the team if we should put the Telegram on that Excel as well. Because, for the person tuning in, all the alpha, all the info and connecting and collaborating, it's in Telegram and it's on Twitter Spaces. So we'll talk to the team to see if we should put those in the show notes. But yeah, I think it's really important for people, if they want to check out more of Metanoise and Future Shape 360, of what Luther's talking about, to get involved with the community. And they have multiple channels within the one public channel. So one is the BooHoo Babies, so they can be connected with you directly, ask you questions, things of that nature, like be a part of the project and the upcoming merch lines. And I mean, when we say like quality, we're talking like top tier quality for real. I remember when I arrived in Denver, which was my first time in Denver, by the way. It was so amazing being there under those circumstances with my fellow artists. But like, I go into my room at the Four Seasons, and wait, was I, yeah, did I go into my room and it was there? Or like someone delivered it to me and it was like this big bag and like it was like all these gifts. And one, it's over there. Oh, because I've been wearing it like every day. I'm in New York and I've been wearing it like it's so cozy. But it's this future shape 360 hoodie. I should like just go grab it. But I'll wear it in future podcasts to be representing for the team. But it's like future shape and has Think NFT with Scott Page on the back, and it's just so cozy on the inside. Like the quality's so good. It feels good. And the energy and the sentimental value that I associate with that of my like that experience with everyone during Denver, it's sensorial. So not only like you're expressing like not only like the community and like I'm a part of this community, but like it also represents a feeling and like, oh, I was at this event in Venice at this gallery, or like I was here when I like met this person and that's when my life changed. And that's how it is, that's how it is. So definitely check out the products coming up. I'm really excited to see some new products myself. Yeah. Oh, and I got this. It's so cool because I have sensitive teeth. I have very sensitive teeth, and so I don't like things that are like metal, like going on my teeth. So I like plastic, or and but normally the on the go water jugs and stuff, they're like, it's always like so small to clean them, so I never use them. Or it's like plastic but then like a metal top, and I don't like the sound in my ears because I like wear rings and stuff. Long story short, I have one that was in the gift bag and it's like Metanoise on it, and it's like perfect so you can clean it, and like it's just the design is really great. So I'm like upselling over here. But yeah, I'm so excited because it took years for me to find like the perfect like on the go that wasn't like bulky, but it was like chic and classy. It's like sophisticated. It's like it's kind of like Chanel, but not like it's super like the how it feels and the vibe that I get from it. If that makes
and,
sense.
and it fits in your cup holder. So,
Well, well,
well,
it
it
does,
doesn't
but
mind.
well, I'm in New York, so my car
Right.
is like at my mom and dad's in Michigan.
Ah,
I took I didn't need my car in the city because but yeah, yeah, 1,000. Love that. Love that. Okay, before we move on to the BooHoo Babies, I have to give a shout out to Ollie Sabat since we were like brought him up a couple times. But this is his Tokyo Punks.
um,
And this is my NFT cartoon Katie, and I made like a whole line on it. And so shout out to Ollie Sabat and Tokyo Punks. But yeah, how you can take your JPEG, like you said, and make real utility about it, and take it and like do things. I made a whole merch line, like everything you can think about. So with the switching into the Boohoo Babies real quick, like are people going to be able to take their PFP as a utility of their NFT and actually do that, or what's the vibes you're doing with fashion? Is it going to be in house with Metanoise Art Department, or can people go and do it as well because it's a PFP project? Because sometimes as an artist, people can do that and sometimes they can't. So how is it with the Boohoo Babies?
Great question, because that is one of our focus, and we're going to do that completely different than any other project that has done it thus far. Yeah, we got a lot of different things that we're introducing into this first Genesis rollout. I got a lot of things to, but we're actually forming that right now and doing all the legal things. That's in Greg's avenue, but we want, yeah, well, that's part of it. We want to be able to provide the collectors with some ability to turn their image into profit. So we want to have again that relationship and that sharing of the IP and licensing. So right now we're discussing the exact numbers of what it's going to be. But say for example you mint some really extreme, because each one of them are completely different, unique, one for ones. They're just completely different. There's a lot of super rare versions within that, special characters, special traits, clothes, things like that. End product, a lot of them, they're like pop art. They're really, really cool. Again, I'm hoping a lot of people can find their identity within those images. But we also have the upwards of 40 plus contributing artists out there, some of the biggest in the space, including Ali Sabat, that has created their own Boohoo. But what we want to do is if the holders and the collectors of those images want to turn those into products, we want to be able to provide that manufacturing portion of it and say, hey,
Mm,
if we have this image, we sell it in the store, we give you a really good percentage of that sale, even though your hands on, you just have the image. So we want to do that. I know that we want to share that creation with you, and we want to grow our community and have people really part of the BooHoo family. But if you have whatever you say, hey, I want to put this on a surfboard,
yeah,
then we will either try to help you with that, or you can go ahead and do that, and we will then we'll share also in that. So it's kind of a two-way street. So that's the agreement that we kind of want to put into place. We're doing all the legal with that right now, and setting up what those numbers are and how it's going to work. But that is our end goal. So we want to create, again, it's a focus on merchandise and creating that lifestyle brand, the streetwear brand. And we want to have this going forward for all of our other projects that we have in the pipeline too.
that's so cool. And there's so much great news there. And one of the parts was like, oh, great. Cause like, to have that support, to have the support and the structure and the foundation, like, oh my gosh, seriously, it's so amazing, because it's like, okay, here's my art in terms of here's your art, your boohoo baby. And we don't want this going on like cheap quality, cheap this. It's a whole experience. It's a 360 1000% package, right? And so the team's like, yo, we want yeah, this to help happen. We want to help you, but we want to make sure it's like creme de la creme of like the best tier quality, so that you're not only are we getting value, the people wearing it are getting value, and you're getting value. It's like 360, like on par value for everyone. It's like a win-win-win for everyone, them, you, and the people they want to sell it to, because it's going to reflect not only on them, but it's going to reflect on the team as well and the whole community. So I love that inclusivity on. It's really important. Smart,
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah. One thing that we really wanted to do, and I was adamant about with our manufacturer, was that um, they had within their potential clothing suppliers was one of the world's most 360-degree recyclable cotton, for example, that created the lowest carbon footprint on the manufacturing. And we wanted to have that as an option in the availability, that you can buy this special garment that has the lowest footprint, because a lot of the clothing you create all this waste with over manufacturing. So, we wanted to have special high end products like that. Wanted to make sure that I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten something and I'm just like, you wear it a couple times and wash it and it doesn't. And this company's actually went through some major manufacturing lines and gone through their actual wash test with the color test on their prints and things like that. And they've passed them multiple times, where they really submit them through some really high temperatures, some really, it's the, quality assessment of the printing that they do on their garments. So, like I said, we've really worked hard on vetting all manufacturers and suppliers on this, and we got it now nailed down. We're in meetings with them multiple times a week, kind of going through what we're going to offer, how we're going to do it, how we're going to introduce all those elements of the customer experience in regards to being able to create their own custom article clothing. And they even have the whole print and sew option on some of their garments.
So
It's quick ship. It's yeah, and that's another element. We were all very kind of foaming at the mouth about it. We were just solidified, all of us, to say, we don't want to do this. Hey, you got a hoodie, and then we ship it out 6 months later. So many times I've heard that in the spaces that that happens. So we want to have immediate kind of you order it, it goes into manufacturing, you get it X amount of days later.
yeah.
yeah, and then we also wanted to be able to provide that mint to ship option.
Yeah.
So that means that, if you mint something, you want it on there, it's your identity, it's your one of a kind, boom, you can do it. So
Word.
that's really kind of our goal, that we wanted to do something a little different, that nobody else has done, and especially with the kind of licensing and IP agreement with the collectors, that's going to be some new territory that nobody's done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's so cool. That's so cool.
yeah.
The other thing I was thinking of when you were saying it was like I could see like you take because I'm a sticker queen too. I'm a fashion queen. It's like queen, it says queen all around in here. But anyway, queen. Like I could see you taking your stickers and sewing them to be patches and like putting them on t-shirts. That'd be so cool if you had like all your stickers, but they were like patches that were sewed on. That could be like real fire.
Well, that'll be next. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that. I would love that. That'd be great. That'd be really cool. Yes. 1000. The other idea I have, which would I think it would be really cool, is yoga mats.
I hadn't thought about that. Yoga mats.
Yo, like the health and wellness community was like an over I think like $1 trillion business like a couple years ago. Like or something. It was like massive, like huge. It was number one. It's like the most like health and wellness community like of products. So yeah, I think that could be like really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, when we talk to a manufacturer about, what it's all based on what they can do immediately, or if
Yeah,
there's a MOQ and minimum order, that's you have to go based on what the product is and availability and things like
yeah,
that. But they've really developed this cutting edge ability to print on just about anything, or to make any type of a print, thermal direct printing, things like this. They're very, very talented.
yeah,
The guy that's the founder of the company is extremely passionate about it. Eats, lives, and breathes this for like the last. I know he started in the early 2000s on really getting into that type of merchandise line, and so they're very talented, and so yeah, we have no qualms about that. We picked the right partner,
yeah.
to do this with, so it'll it'll
Wonderful.
it'll be great.
Yeah, I love hearing the carbon footprint and the fabric. It's so important. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing all that. So okay, what are the Boohoo Babies? Like, what's the mission statement of Boohoo Babies? Why Boohoo Babies? Tell me all about it.
Oh my gosh. I definitely don't want to get political, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But it kind of, the origin started that way, was that I really started them during, uh, the election cycle is really when it started,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the summer that really the summer of 21, and we had all of the social injustice and everything that was going on, and by any of my statements coming up, I definitely do not want to belittle any of that. It's not to take away from anything that happened. I think there was a lot of things that occurred during that time that needed to happen to bring things to the surface and limelight, but
Yeah.
it was just this constant news cycle with the election and everything else that was just so negative. I got to the point where I couldn't even watch the news, and
Same.
and a certain politician was on TV constantly, and my wife had actually said, "You should draw this guy as a crying baby," and just like, wah wah, and that's where it started. And I really, I drew this crying baby, and then it just, and I did it in a real, you know, I don't want to say simplistic, but it kind of is. It's just like a real illustration style, and I just started to put different things in and create different characters, and so the next thing you know, I kept doing it for months and months. After, kind of using it as a palette cleanser, I was working on projects and doing my one for one art and things like that during the day, and then I'd work on this at night, and I'd belt some out, and I ended up stopping it when I hit like 500 plus traits. And so,
Okay. So real quick before you
yeah.
keep going. So your very first one, like your sketch of it, was it by hand or was it on an electronic, like an iPad? Like what was the first when she's like, you should draw this person crying? How did you do it?
Oh, I did it on my iPad and Procreate.
You did. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I use Procreate. A lot of people do. That's kind of it, and it's just because it's a quick workflow, things like that. But I come back to my PC and load everything in Photoshop and refine and do all the other tricks and things like that. But I just I created the first one on the iPad and just kept on making folders full of this or that, different traits or drawing a different character, and it just kind of took a life of its own. It grew legs from there, and I actually sat on it for months and months and didn't do anything with it. And we were really on the fence about, should I even release it as a PFP? I did all this art. I didn't know what to do. And so I ran it through a piece of software, which is an NFT generator. It's actually created by OneMint, and I ran it through there, and they let you, before you mint, you can actually just see an example. And I started looking at the finished images, and I was just like, oh my god, these are crazy cool. And I had never looked at it in that full scope of seeing all the characters side by side, and there's just different combinations of everything put together. Because when you're drawing them out, you're just like, okay, I'm going to make some crazy hats or some crazy hair, or I'm going to do it this color or that color or this background. But when I saw them fully assembled side by side, and thousands of them, I was like, oh my god, these are too good. I
Wow.
just I have to share them. So and it kind of went from there, and then we decided, through the art department, that this would be our Genesis launch.
Okay. Okay. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So, couple questions. So you did like 500 in Procreate. So in your Procreate, you just have like 500 different files of BooHoo Babies. That would
Uh,
be BooHoo Babies.
yeah, well, it's probably a lot more than that. As you know, in Procreate, you can create as many layers. So I do everything in layers. So what I would do is I would take, the base body image, which was just the outline. Then I would make another layer on top, and I would draw these, separate PNGs, as what I would save them as. But it would just be, within Procreate, just a different layer. And I did all these in high resolution. So I did them all in 6,000 by 6,000 at 300 dpi, because I like to work, really large. And if I have to shrink it down, you just get better quality and, better line work and things like that. So I don't even know how many files I have. It's definitely in the hundreds, but each one of those may have, I think at that resolution, there's probably, I don't know, I think you can get about 14 layers per file in that. So I just have those just chock full, sitting on my iPad. Well, not anymore. They're out and over to our dev team, and they're already being generated and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of how I created the project.
Yeah.
Um,
And so the process is like, because I use Procreate as well. So then do you just select them all? Like you select it and then you put it, you transfer it and you put it to where? So like this is honestly probably the first time I've um registered one mint. Like maybe I've heard it before in passing or whatever like that. So do you take those and put them into the one mint? Or like where do you take those from Procreate and when do you put it into one mint? And how would one get one mint? Where would they get it?
you can actually look it up. It's actually termed as NFT generator. They do a full, the generative and mint and everything else. I'm not using them for this project.
Oh,
I'm using a full dev team.
oh,
Um,
you said you went to one mint just to see how it looked. But
yeah,
someone
and
could use one mint, but you're not.
yes, yeah, someone could, and they do offer up to a free mint for a certain amount. They charge you just for the mint, and I think you can mint like 100 or 200 for free, something like that. But it's NFT generator. If you put that in, and the company's called One Mint. They have a really nice product, really easy to use. It's kind of almost like ladder logic software where you put things in folders and you can arrange and dial the rarity, things like that. Uh, it's for people that don't know how to code, which in reality I don't. So it's one of those type software.
Cool. Very cool. I
Uh,
think that gives a lot of value for people to do their own research and look it up and get their swirls and their minds going in the good creative direction. Thank you for sharing
yeah.
that.
So I just took the images. They were all, I exported them as PNGs. I did it in my iCloud, pulled them off, pulled them into Photoshop. And then I started just arrange the layers and position everything and fine tune everything in Photoshop. And then Photoshop has this nice that you can layers the files. So I could just kind of export them all as PNGs, preserving the transparency and make sure it stays in the same position. And then just dump them into folders and then rename them with all the different traits, which is kind of a cool element of the BooWho Babies that I didn't like just label them as like rainbow teeth or red hat or things like that. I gave them all these really unique, funny names. So I think when somebody goes through and they have their end NFT and they look at the trait description, say on OpenSea, for example, they'll see like the rainbow teeth is called Taste the Rainbow. Or there's one with a fishbowl around the head with a goldfish swimming by that says, I won this at the fair. And just, I gave everything crazy names. I didn't want to be the same like everybody else. I wanted to be, really have this stand out and be different.
Very cool. Very cool. And I want to give a shout out to the dev team because, developers, we really need them. So, do you want to
Yeah.
share? I mean, I'm like floored over here. Talking art, we could probably just talk for like the next 4 hours. And your wife's going to be like, yo, I have to get him to dinner. But did you want to like mention anything about like the dev team, like that kind of process? Like, how was that for you as an artist or anything?
Now we have a real solid dev team. It's Daniel over at Astor Labs. He's got a good team that works for him. They're really passionate about this. They've launched a lot of successful projects. So he's right on point. We have a really tight group of people working on this project. Yeah, I couldn't wish for better, to be honest. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
important to acknowledge like everyone, because they're like you said, it takes like a whole team of people and a lot do not get acknowledged and are some people aren't even aware of those kind of things. Do you want to do you want to give a shout out to any of our mutual friends who are participating in the collection, which is really cool? Like I
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a pretty substantial list of artists. You would think I would, and I even said this earlier in the space. We have 1 o'clock spaces every day at the lunchtime of the art department, and I roll through these names all the time, and I know almost every one of these people personally or met them in real life, and you'd think I'd have all the names remembered, but I don't. And I
Yeah.
talk about this every day for months now. But of course, I mentioned Ali Sabat, but we have also Gabe Weiss, which he had the real successful launch of the Stoics. He created a Boohoo Stoic. Wes Henry, one of my favorite people too.
Yay.
Yeah, I love Wes. So we have Seeking Sonia, Senator Greaves, which is my cohorts and partner in crime with the art department. Him and I work together constantly, so we're always collabing or building. Um, Three Minx or Three Minex. I want to go back to the Nomad days that she was always called in the space. She created this really cool one. Uh, Stanley Felderman. He's also, I know you know Stanley, right? Yeah. So, he's an accomplished artist. He's been doing architectural design and like set design and things like that. Like he designed sets for MTV and Nickelodeon and things like that. So he's been in the game for a long time. Really great artist and human being. Brian Coleman, another element. He
Oh,
is
cool.
Yeah, he's part of the art department also. He's doing the facial scanning and doing that type of
Yeah.
art. So he's a really good 3D artist and renderer.
Yeah, I saw when you
Uh,
guys all did that in Denver before Art Basel, and then I saw him doing it IRL at Art Basel. That was really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Kelly Anderson. We have Mad Rabbits Riot Club. They put a really cool piece in. Horror Bears, Noah Warren, which is School's Still Out. Matt Liu, Manu, Adam Velux. He put a really cool animation in there
Oh,
of a
all his
Boohoo
works,
Baby.
just like all his creations are amazing.
Absolutely,
He's
absolutely.
so good.
Yeah, and our mutual friend Manny Links.
Manny Links,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, he's got a really cool piece in there. He
I,
straightened it
I
all up. So
I actually saw like a sneak peek on your Twitter, actually. So I was like, yo, that's so cool. And then
yeah,
I saw yeah. Yeah.
I think
Anyone else that we can
West End. Well, we have like Webstock Brian. They got a piece in there. We have
Oh, really? Very
yes,
cool.
Spirit Punks made one. We have a Zevi G 456 Club Namaste, kind of squatting Boohoo Baby crying, and really cool, like one of a kind background, really cool rendered piece of art. Shoke has one in there. Z Hovac created a Boohoo.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. I introduced her
Remo,
to the Future Shape 360 team.
yeah,
I had
she's
her.
great.
Yeah. I had her art curated in July at the thing. Yeah,
Oh,
so
nice,
so
nice.
cool.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
in our spaces next week. So she's
cool.
going to
Very
be
cool.
one of our featured artists.
That's her skateboard right there. Yeah, she did
Oh
a
yeah,
collaboration with DB's with Nifty Castle, and then uh actually Sabet he drew on it. So you probably can't see it, but he drew on it on the skateboard. Yeah, he gifted me that skateboard, which is really cool.
yeah, and I'll just skim over some more names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Remo created a couple babies. Kate Samuels, she's got one in there. Punk Actual, Gazelle, she's made a really cool one. Brain Pasta kind of made that Brain Toad style.
Oh,
All
cool.
wiggly arms and everything. It's cool.
Nice.
And we even have the astronaut Ron Garan made one. As you can
Oh,
imagine,
really?
it's a baby in a astronaut suit. So yeah, we have a really big collection of artists and these are all going to be one for ones tucked away in there. Anyone that mints one can have a chance to get one of these pieces. We're not holding any back. There's only one image that we're holding back, and that's the one that I use for my PFP, and that's the
Okay.
only one. So, but you can still get something close. I mean, I'm still leaving the traits in there of just that specific combination. So.
Very cool. Very cool. And then so so I'll have your social media links below, but also I'll have you share them verbally as well. But um so the mint date is February 1st, which is today. It's the pre-mint. So you let me know. So let the people know how they can mint, how they can look it up, all that jazz.
Very good question. So you can always go to the Metanoise.io website, and we're going to have the link to mint from there. It'll then lead you over to the website, so Metanoise.io, and we'll have a mint, a link up there to mint. Uh, February 1st is the pre-mint day. February 2nd is going to be the public mint day. On both days or ongoing, we're going to have this new option to do what's called super cool. And super cool lets you purchase your NFT. So, say for example, you don't have a traditional wallet, the whole setup of the wallet, everything like that escapes you. You can still go on to the site, enter in your credit card information like that. You want to know more information on what's the website? It's supercool.xyz, and that's the website. You want to find out about it, but it's kind of like a Stripe experience. So you can then use that as your wallet instead of signing up for MetaMask or many of the other wallets that kind of, that's still not the easiest thing for people to get if they are not into Web3. So we're offering that as an option too. So we want to try to onboard more people to get familiar with the whole NFT and whole Web3 experience. So,
Yeah.
and then we are having a baby reveal party also, and that's going to take place February 11th in West Hollywood. So that's going to be an IRL event that we'll reveal all the babies that night, and hopefully we'll have everything done with the store and the ability for people at that point to go ahead and do the mint to ship of any of the products. But we're going to have plenty of giveaways, things going on, events like that, lining up the live music. I'm trying to, as you may know, trying to cash in some friend checks and trying to make that happen right now. So yeah, it's going to be a really fun time. Really close to the Hotel Ziggy, so that's my favorite place to stay. So I'm sure we'll, you know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, February
Yeah.
11th.
That's so cool. February 11th. My brother's new offices is right down the street from there on Sunset Boulevard. It's super cool. So would love, to have you stop by and give you a private tour and things of that nature. Depends how long you're, in LA and stuff, but we could probably make that happen. That's super neat. Yeah. So, where can people, find you on? So, actually, before I say that, there's a couple things I need to say. Um, when Luther was just mentioning the websites, it's really important for you to know to not Google it, to actually go to the actual site to make sure you go to maybe the links below in the show notes and click from there directly for his Twitter. I'll put the Metanoise link in there as well, because in the age of technology with all the bots and the scams and everything, you could click a bad link and then things could happen. So just to protect yourself, you want to make sure you're always going to the authentic website. Um, there's a Wallet Guard. It's a free Chrome extension. There's Fish Fort, and it tells you like green or red if it's like the actual site, or if it could be fishy or something like that. You want to make sure you're actually going to the right site. Uh, and also, the the company Luther mentioned, it's just, a great way for you to know that you just don't have a wallet. It's a way for people who maybe have a debit card or a credit card to be able to participate, but they don't sponsor the show. They're not sponsoring the show, so we're not like, like putting one over on you or anything. This is just educational for you to know. So I just wanted to make sure that was really clear. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah. With the super cool, it's just a new product that we've found. We've done our research that we thought that would work in on our mint, and again, we wanted to offer, not just be this standard run of the mill project, and
yeah, yeah. I was in a spaces when I one like it was like, and then like someone like popped in from there and I heard some information on it.
mhm.
um Very cool, very cool. So where can everyone find you and to connect more?
Everything that I'm associated with is at Luther Arts, LUTHERARTS. So Instagram, Twitter, that's really the two platforms that I'm on. Or they can go to lutherarts.com. I'll have links over there that directly steer you to my Twitter or Instagram, and you can kind of see some of my art at lutherarts.com. See what I'm up to, things like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how they can find me.
yeah,
And
amazing.
anyone's always welcome to reach out to me. Especially if they have questions about the art, they want to know how to do something like that. I'm extremely approachable. I think Katie can attest to that, right?
Yeah, 1000%. I'm going to be so advantageous and even move forward to say that, make sure you're subscribing and make sure you go to the link below, that you're on the mailing list where it says contact. You can put subject Luther Arts and share some inspiration from today. and some value that you received and share this episode with one person. And then I'll strum up some kind of giveaway in the near future, and I'll reach out to Luther after I have some recipients, and I'll decide who is going to win some giveaways. And maybe Luther will be awesome enough to gift you some surprises. Who knows what it could be?
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of stuff today, so we have a lot of value to offer you. And so I'll approach that when the moment comes, but that could be really cool, Luther, if you're part of our giveaways in the near future on She's All Over the Place.
For sure. I'd be humbled.
Yay, yay. All the best with BooWho Babies and the collection. And how many pieces are in the collection?
6,001. Again, they're all one of a kind. Everyone's unique. We have a lot of specials tucked away in there. But yeah, 6,001, and I guarantee you're not going to find one like the other. So
Great.
they're really
Very
cool.
great. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing some depths in your journey with us. And you are welcomed on She's All Over the Place anytime, all the time, anytime you want to come on. I'm really excited. We started a new segment called Culture Kids. So you're definitely a culture kid, and you're one of the first culture kids featured on She's All Over the Place podcast. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, same here. Same here. Much love. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Next time in the near future, we'll probably be having like your daughter on.
Oh, yeah. Can I take a second to do a proud dad moment?
Please. Yeah.
Now, she has so been bitten by the art bug just because I put paintbrushes in her hand ever since she was a little thing. And this last summer, she won Best in Show at the San Joaquin County Fair for her artwork, and then third in the state of California State Fair,
Wow.
competing against adults. And she's 11. So, hey, yeah, I know. I'm a pretty proud daddy.
That's so amazing.
I know.
What's
Yeah.
what's her name?
Zoe.
Yeah, I can't wait for her to meet my niece Lana. Oh my gosh,
We talked about that.
they're just a couple years around from each other, so soon we'll all be playing together. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations to Zoe. That's awesome, and congratulations on being such a thoughtful dad. That's so sweet. Seriously.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is all of our segment for Culture Kids on She's All Over the Place. Thank you so much for joining us. Because of you, we are top 1.5% podcast out of almost 4 million podcasts. We're going to the moon together. We're like pretty close, right? Thank you so much. And please share this with one person. It means a lot to us. Okay. See you next time. Ciao.